Well, hello everyone, it's Nina. Thanks for joining me today for a new video. Today I'm going to share what I think is probably my most favorite embossing folder technique. I love working with embossing folders and there are so many ways you can use them, but this one is something that I've done many times in the past and it always makes me so happy with how the results turn out. So today I'm going to be using new products from Simon Says Stamp's All the Joy release. And this particular folder called Twining Berries is the embossing folder that I'm going to use to create the technique today. So I'm going to open up my embossing folder and I'm going to put some clear embossing ink on the raised surface of the embossing folder first before I put my paper inside. I tap the ink onto it as if I was inking up a stamp. Then on the other side, I'm going to go ahead and place my paper and then lay that inky side on top. So now I'm going to press that embossed design into the paper, and anywhere that it has been pressed into the paper, it's also wet with embossing ink. So now I can take some clear embossing powder, and for this I'm actually using a clear sparkle. This is Fairy Dust from Brutus Monroe, but any embossing powder will work for this. So I'm just going to sprinkle the powder over top of that wet ink and let it catch in all of those recessed areas, and then we're going to start setting it. So this is going to create an emboss resist because we're going to add ink on top of this. So anywhere in those recessed areas where the ink and the embossing powder has now been melted, those areas are not going to pick up any ink. So that's going to allow us to have these really nice bright white berries and leaves across our background, but also some nice color. So for those colors, I've picked out Heather, Marine, and TIDEPOOL. These are really nice wintry colors. I love this color combination. I've already used this on a project that I did for the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel where I created a snowflake card in their latest live stream, and this color combination is just super pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and start with TIDEPOOL and add that around one corner. Then I brought in Marine and I'm going to bring that around the other side, and you can see our emboss resist is already starting to show through. And then finally I brought in Heather, brought that around the other corner, and then used TIDEPOOL to kind of fade that out to white over there with Heather. Now with the dry cloth, I'm going to go ahead and buff off any of the ink that's sitting on top of our embossed areas. And check this out, it's like magic. I love the reveal of these bright white berries and leaves, and this gives us a really cool background to place some other elements on top. I am going to splatter this with a bit of shimmer mist from Brutus Monroe. It's just a pearl shimmer mist, it's very pretty. You could use a color if you'd like. With some silver cardstock, I'm going to die cut this All the Joy die that I designed for the release, and this is going to be a beautiful sentiment that's going to really accentuate the gorgeous wintry colors. So I die cut it not just from silver, but also from some white cardstock so I can stack the silver piece on top of it. It'll make it a little bit more dimensional. I always like adding a bit of dimension to my greetings. I also did die cut the shadow layer, which you can see here on the left. I die cut that from the same white cardstock, and that's what I'm going to glue this stacked greeting onto. Once I have my greeting fully adhered together, I also die cut another die from the release, and this is the Arcing Spruce Sprig. This is so delicate and beautiful. It's also quite large. I'm going to use some AEGEAN ink from Simon Says Stamp's Pawsitively Saturated Ink Collection to add a bit of shading across this sprig. And I did use a flat detail brush so that way I can catch some darker ink in other areas. Then with the new Kale ink color, I'm going to add a little bit more of a traditional green, which adds some variation to the color. There are 6 new colors of Simon Says Stamp Pawsitively Saturated inks: Kale, Artichoke, Cabbage, those are all greens, and then you have Nutmeg, Allspice, and Paprika, and those are beautiful rusty orangish reds. They're so pretty, the great combination for holiday cards. So you have to check out those inks. I have everything that I'm using today linked below in the video description, as well as a link to the whole release as well. So you're seeing me glue my sprig here and also my sentiment onto my card, just using a little bit of liquid glue to help glue that sprig down. And then to accentuate it, I did bring in some gems from Honeybee Stamps. These are some of their gem stickers, and I used these blue ones to add around the sprig. I thought this would be a nice touch to add a little bit more of that frosty color. I'm using my Simon Says Stamp Place and Pierce tool to help me get those down onto my card project. This card is slightly smaller than an A2 card, so I'm going to put a piece of Simon Says Stamp white foam behind it to give it some dimension off of my card. It's a nice solid piece. and I used Terrific tape to hold this together because I find with embossed designs I have a lot better luck with a more stronger adhesive like Terrific tape to adhere these pieces together. But check it out. Look at that shine from the resist of the beautiful embossed details, and I love those frosty colors. All of these pieces worked so well together to create this card. I love how it turned out, and I hope you were inspired by this idea. If you want to see more embossing folder ideas, I do have a link up in the top right corner for you to check out some other videos that I've done using embossing folders and some fun techniques. Well, I thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you did, and if you haven't subscribed already, I'd love to have you be a subscriber. I will be back very soon to share more with you all, but until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.